The book of Isaiah, chapter 30. Woe to the stubborn children, declares YAHUAH, to make counsel, but not from me, and to devise plans, but not of my spirit, in order to add sin to sin, who are setting out to go down to Mitzrayim, and have not asked my mouth, to be strengthened in the strength of Pharaoh, and to seek refuge in the shadow of Mitzrayim. And the strength of Pharaoh shall become your shame, and the refuge in the shadow of Mitzrayim your confusion. For his princes were at Sohan, and his messengers came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people who did not profit them, not for help or profit, but a shame and also a reproach. The message concerning the beasts of the south. Through a land of trouble and distress, from which came the lioness and lion, the adder and fiery flying serpent, they convey their riches on the backs of young donkeys, and their treasures on the humps of camels, to an unprofitable people, even Mitzrayim, whose help is in vain and empty. Therefore, I have called her 𝐉𝐄𝐄, and go, write it before them on a tablet, and inscribe it on a scroll, that it is for a latter day a witness forever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, who refuse to hear the Torah of YAHUAH, who say to the seers, do not see, and to the prophets, do not prophesy to us what is right. Speak to us what is smooth, prophesy deceits. Turn aside from the way, swerve from the path, cause the set-apart one of Yahshar'el to cease from before us. Therefore, thus said the set-apart one of Yahshar'el, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and rely on them, therefore, this crookedness is to you like a breach ready to fall, a bulge in a high wall whose breaking comes suddenly, swiftly. And he shall break it like the breaking of a potter's vessel, which is broken in pieces without sparing, so that there is not found among its fragment a sherd to take fire from the hearth, or to take water from the cistern. For thus said the Master Yah, the set-apart one of Yahshar'el, in returning and rest you are saved, in stillness and trust is your strength, but you would not. And you said, no, for we flee upon horses, therefore you flee. And we ride on swift horses. Therefore, those who pursue you are swift. 1,000 flee at the rebuke of one. At the rebuke of 5 you shall flee until you are left as a pole on top of a mountain and as a sign on a hill. And therefore YAHUAH shall wait to show you favor. And therefore he shall be exalted to have compassion on you. For YAHUAH is an Elohim of right ruling. Blessed are all those who wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Sion at Jerusalem. You shall weep no more. He shall show much favor to you at the sound of your cry. When he hears, he shall answer you. Though YAHUAH give you bread of adversary and water of affliction, your teachers shall no longer be thrust in a corner. But your eyes shall see your teacher, and your ears hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right, or whenever you turn to the left. And you shall defile the covering of your graven images of silver, and the plating of your molded images of gold. You shall throw them away as a menstrual cloth, and say to them, be gone. And he shall give the rain for your seed with which you sow the ground, and bread of the increase of the earth. And it shall be fat and rich, your cattle grazing in an enlarged pasture in that day, and the oxen and the young donkeys that work the ground eat seasoned fodder, winnowed with shovel and fan. And on every high mountain and on every high hill there shall be rivers and streams of waters in the day of great killing, when the towers fall. And on every high mountain and on every high hill there shall be rivers and streams of waters in the day of great killing, when the towers fall. And the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that YAHUAH binds up the breach of his people and heals the wound of his blows. See, the name of YAHUAH is coming from afar, burning with his wrath and heavy smoke. His lips shall be filled with rage, and his tongue with a devouring fire, and his breath shall be as an overflowing stream which reaches up to the neck to sift the nations with a sieve of falsehood and a misleading bridle on the jaws of the peoples. Let the song be to you as in a night set apart for a festival, and gladness of heart as he who is going with a flute to come into the mountain of YAHUAH, to the rock of Israel. And YAHUAH shall cause his excellent voice to be heard, and show the coming down of his arm with raging wrath, and the flame of a consuming fire with scattering downpour and hailstones. For through the voice of YAHUAH a shore is broken down, with a rod he strikes. And every passage of the ordained staff which YAHUAH lays on him shall be with tambourines and lyres, when he shall fight with it, battling with a brandishing arm. For Topeth was ordained of old, even for the sovereign it has been prepared. He has made it deep and large, its fire pit with much wood. The breath of YAHUAH, as a stream of burning sulfur, is burning in it. The book of Isaiah, chapter 31. Woe to those who go down to Mitzrayim for help, and rely on horses, who trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but who do not look to the set-apart One of Yahshar'el, nor seek YAHUAH. And he also is wise, and has brought evil, and has not turned aside his words. And he shall rise up against the house of evildoers, and against the help of workers of wickedness. And the Mitzrayites are men and not El, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. And when YAHUAH stretches out his hand, both he who helps shall stumble, and he who is helped shall fall, and they shall all fall together. For this is what YAHUAH has said to me: as a lion roars, and as a young lion over his prey, though a band of shepherds is called out against him, he is not afraid of their voice, nor disturbed by their noise. So YAHUAH Sebaoth shall come down to fight upon Mount Sion and upon its hill. Like hovering birds, so does YAHUAH Sebaoth protect Jerusalem, protecting and delivering, passing over and rescuing. Turn back to him from whom the children of Israel have deeply fallen away. For in that day let each man reject his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made for yourselves as a sin. And Ashur shall fall by a sword, not of man, and a sword not of mankind shall devour him. But he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall become slave labor, and his strength pass away because of fear, and his commanders shall be afraid of the banner, declares YAHUAH, whose light is in Sion, and whose furnace is in Jerusalem. The book of Isaiah, chapter 32. See, a sovereign shall reign in righteousness, and rulers rule in right ruling. And each one shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a shelter from the downpour, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of those who see are not dim, and the ears of those who hear listen. And the heart of the rash understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers hurries to speak plainly. A fool is no longer called noble, nor the scoundrel said to be respectable, for a fool speaks folly, and his heart works wickedness, to practice filthiness, and to speak against YAHUAH that which misleads, to starve the being of the hungry, and to withhold the drink from the thirsty. And the methods of the scoundrel are evil. He has devised wicked plans to destroy the poor with words of falsehood, even when the needy pleads for right ruling. But the generous one devises what is generous, and by generous deeds he rises up. Rise up, you women who are at ease. Hear my voice. Rise up, you complacent daughters. Listen to my speech. In little more than a year you shall be troubled, you complacent woman, for the grape harvest shall fail, the ingathering shall not come. Tremble, you women who are at ease. Be troubled, you complacent ones. Strip yourselves, make yourselves bare, and gird sackcloth on your waists. Lament upon the breasts for the pleasant fields, for the fruit-bearing vine. Weeds and thorn bushes come up over the ground of my people, indeed over all the houses of joy, the city of revelry, for the palace is abandoned and the crowded city deserted. Hill and watchtower serves as caves forever, a joy of wild donkeys, a pasture of flocks. Until the Spirit is poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness shall become garden land, and the garden land be reckoned as a forest. Then right ruling shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the garden land. The work of righteousness shall be peace, and the service of righteousness be rest and safety forever. And my people shall dwell in a home of peace, and in safe dwellings, and in undisturbed resting places, even when hail shall fall, felling the forest, and the city be brought low in humiliation. Blessed are you who sow beside all waters, who send out the foot of the ox and the donkey.